Howdy, howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 234.
Yeah.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Catchy old theme, isn't it, that?
Catchy old theme, that one.
Yeah.
Hello, Who fans. I hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes.
Who are you then?
Hello, my name is Adam. I'm a Doctor Who fan.
Doctor Who fan. YouTuber.
And today, Matthew, I'm going to be a Doctor Who fan.
Welcome back, buddy. Missed you last week.
Cheers, man. I listened in just to check what you were saying about me, and yeah, good pod. Well done for going solo.
Yay me.
No, I did. I had to listen. I was on my lunch break at work. I thought I'll just tune in, see what he's got to say.
The old bugger.
Yeah, I was particularly like the bit about the new Dalek, Evil of the Daleks vinyl. When you were saying, "Oh, I expect Adam will be buying that," I was sat there nodding. Yes, yeah. I'll be buying it. Yes. Can't wait to get that. It looks lovely.
It does look awesome, doesn't it?
It does look nice, and I can totally sympathise with you for not knowing how many versions there are of it, because I couldn't make head nor tail of it either. They keep blimmin' changing it. They keep changing the description. They keep changing the catalogue number. I was like, when they finally decided what is what, I'm going to pre-order it. But at the minute, it's all over the blimmin' shop.
It is, mate. Yeah, and I was trying to make some sense of it when I was talking about it last week. But yeah, and it's changed. Like you said, it's changed since then as well. So the people that were listening last week were like, "Oh, sweet, I'll go and have a look." But they've gone on there on Amazon and it's completely different again. So
yeah,
who knows?
I think they finally got it sorted, because at one point, so the catalogue numbers they've switched round because they'd got them the wrong way round, I think, because there's two versions. And then, so the one with the splatter, they originally said had got a TARDIS etching on it, and now they've changed it. Actually, it's the other one that's got the TARDIS etching. The splatter one's got a Dalek Emperor etching, I think. And I was like, well, that's actually good, because I think that's the one I'm going to go for. So yeah, I think there's been a little bit of I think they probably rushed out the release in terms of the news, and they didn't quite get all their facts together. But anyway, I think it's all there now for anyone that wants to order it, like myself. But yeah, when you were talking through it last week on the merch section, I could totally sympathise with you being a bit lost, because it was a bit of it was a bit confusing.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it was. And I was also thinking, well, why? Because with the Amazon exclusives, they're normally pretty good. You can normally jump on there, and all the information's not too, unless it's like a really far out pre-order. those ones, sometimes you get like these odd situations where the price goes up and down, and then the release date shuffles, and then you get an email to say the item that you've ordered is not going to be in stock and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is not too far away. This is what, July?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, just in time for my birthday. If you're listening, Mum and Dad.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's weird that it's jumping all over the place, and we're relatively close to. So, anyways, it's a wonderful set. And how much was it again? It was
$69.99.
Yeah.
I think it's not too bad. A little bit pricey, but not too bad. I think it's 4 vinyls, isn't it? So, yeah. But I just love the artwork, and I really want to know who the artist is. If anyone out there knows, I've sort of done a little search on Twitter, but I haven't managed to find out yet. But I do really like that style. It looks to me like it's the same person who did the Record Store Day exclusives this year. You know, we got Destiny and Galaxy 4. It's a sort of retro style, and I really do like the artwork. So, yeah, I'd like to know who it is that does that. I think it's a really good look. Yeah, I was also intrigued to hear your thoughts on Random Shoes as well, because as you heard, I was quite surprised how much I enjoyed it. It was a slow burner for sure. I mean, it did drag in places. I agreed with your review. Obviously, I enjoyed it a bit more than you. I was listening thinking, I knew it'd be one that you'd either think like me, oh, that was better than I thought, or it'll be one that you'd find really boring, because it is slow, to be sure. But I think, I think if I'd been in a different mood, I think I would have felt like you, if you know what I mean. I think I just was in the right mood for it. I actually thought it was quite enjoyable. But yeah, I was listening to your review and I thought, I can totally see where you're coming from. If I'd have been in a different mood, I would have found that a real slog, because it was definitely a much slower pace of Torchwood than we've had so far in Series 1. But what did you score it? 6.5, wasn't it? Something like that.
I gave it 6.5. I think you gave it a 7, didn't you?
7, yeah. Well, I thought from what you'd said in the review, I thought he's going to be around a 4 or 5 on this. He's going to be cruel, but no, I was quite surprised when you come in with 6.5. But yeah, it wasn't bad, but it's not one I'll go to very often. You know what I mean? It's not one that I'm going to get the box set and think, Random Shoes. But every now and again, I might just feel like watching that one.
Yeah, it's
kind
of
like
the
Love
same.
of Monsters.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Marmite. Excuse me, I got a dry throat. So a bit of a Marmite story, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's absolutely one of those where it's got, like most stories throughout Doctor Who and Torchwood and whatever, it's got a fantastic concept.
Yeah,
it's just very unoriginal. The way that it was executed was just, I found it quite.
It was about 10 minutes. It sort of ran out of steam about 10 minutes towards the end. I mean, it all kicked off, but it felt like it was dragging a little 10 minutes towards the end, and it just didn't quite have enough story to fill that 50 minutes, I don't think. But it was a good concept. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah,
it was. And I think if they'd have just thrown a curveball or something in there, just something to take you away from that, we've seen all this before.
Yeah.
A ghost walking around that can communicate with one particular person or tries to, and if they'd have just thrown something in there, like Jack absolutely flipping out about something.
Yeah, he was hardly in it, was he? and I agree with a lot of the listeners pointed out, there were a lot of unanswered questions if you sort of think about the story. I mean, I didn't think too much about it at the time. I think it's because the trailer looked so bad to me. I was just expecting it to be a really filler episode, and I thought, well, actually the story is pretty good. But I agree with a lot of the comments we got back on it, that there were, if you go back and watch it, there was a lot like, well, how does that work? Why is the eye doing this, and why can Gwen only see it? There was a lot in there that didn't get explained, but that could have been filled out in that sort of 10 minutes sort of where it lagged and stuff, I think. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, certainly better than I was expecting.
We continue to power through.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Coming up in today's show, we're extremely light on news and merch again. So we've got one bit of news to talk through, and then we're straight into our review of the 11th Doctor 2-parter. The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone.
Yes.
From Series 5? Yeah, Series 5.
Do you know, I nearly watched the wrong episode. I don't know
why.
So
did I. I think I'm
going to... Did you... Really?
Yeah, I almost watched the Amy and Rory one in New York.
Well, that's more feasible.
Same as
I can see why you do that. No, I don't know why. I think ever since for weeks now, I've been thinking, knew this 2-parter was coming up, and I was like in my head, and I've absolutely no idea why. I'd got the Silurian 2-parter in my head from Series 5. I don't even know what it's called, The Hungry Earth, and so I kept thinking in my head, oh yeah, we've got that boring Silurian episode 2-parter coming up. Oh dear. And then I went to get the Series 5 box out, and it literally wasn't until I went to put it in, I was like, what was the title of the ones we're doing again? I was thinking Flesh and Stone. That's not. So I had to go back. I had to open my computer and go back on the schedule to look. And I was like, Flesh and Stone and Return of the... what am I doing? So, I was literally so close to watching the wrong thing. I don't know why I just got that 2-parter stuck in my head for weeks that's what we were doing, which we haven't done yet, I don't think. So we will get round to that. And hopefully it'll be better than I remember, because I wasn't really particularly looking forward to watching that one. But yes, be interested to see if we agree on our thoughts on this one. The Weeping Angel story, the right story. The right one, yeah. What is it called? Time of the Angels and Flesh and Stone, isn't it? Yes, the Time of the Angels, yeah. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I had it in my head that it was the Rory, when the one where Rory and Amy get zapped by the angels.
Yes, yeah.
For some reason I thought it was that one, because I watched these on Netflix actually, and I was zipping around Series 6 and 7 thinking, where is it? And then I found that one, and I was like, is that the one? I don't think. Let me just double check. I had to go and double check that it wasn't the right one. And there's like, oh, it's Series 5. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been good to go back to Series 5, because and this particular 2-parter, like a lot of episodes we review, is one that I haven't watched for quite some time. So it was it was good to go back to this one and reassess it, because didn't remember a lot about it. I had little moments like Amy with the stuff in her eye, but that was it. I really couldn't remember much about the story at all. So yeah, it was certainly an interesting watch.
Yes. But now that we've identified that we are reviewing the correct stories, shall we land the TARDIS and get through this bit of sad news?
Oh yes, we should.
Hate doing sad news. It really is a sucker punch in the news, especially as we have no other news or merch to go through. It's horrible. But Stephen Thorne, who played a few characters back in the classic years, has sadly passed away. He's left us at the age of 84. And Stephen played some quite memorable characters, actually. So in the Pertwee story, The Dæmons, he played Azal, the big demon character.
Yeah, the devil-like creature,
Yeah, played that one. And then went on to play Omega in the Three Doctors, as we would know from his big, the big booming voice that we know from Omega. And then went on to play Eldred in The Hand of Fear, or the male version of Eldred in The Hand of Fear. So, yeah, it's a significant character from some of the classic Who years, and like I said, really sad. I hate just having to go through news where someone's left us, but a really good legacy from classic Who. I can only think of a few other actors who have played multiple villains or monsters in the classic years. So Stephen had some good stories, actually, especially the Dæmons. That's a cracking.
It is a cracking. I mean, I was going to say it's a good 3 good characters there, and I'd completely forgotten that he played the male Eldred in Hand of Fear. I mean, 3 really good stories actually to be involved with. Yeah, he did lots of other work as well. When these Z cars, they've all been in Z cars, haven't they? Yeah. Everybody's been here. Yeah. Crossroads, remember that?
I don't remember him in Crossroads.
No, I don't remember him in it. David Copperfield, Last of the Summer Wine. Yeah, so he's good. He's got a good back catalogue behind him. I met him I think it was either last year or could even be the year before. Can't quite remember now, but I met him at one of the Phantom events, and I got him to sign a picture of Omega and a picture of Azal. And I remember saying to him, 2 iconic characters from 2 great stories, So I was really pleased because it was great to get those 2 pictures signed. He was a man of few words. I didn't get much from him. He kind of acknowledged it, but he was very pleasant. You know, he sort of acknowledged that I was a fan of those stories. So yeah, 3 really good stories to be involved with.
Yeah,
because Hand of Fear is a good one as well. Yeah.
And our listeners will know, if they've listened to the show over the years, that I'm a huge fan of the old original BBC radio drama, The Lord of the Rings, and he played Treebeard in that. So very, very good performance as Treebeard. So
that was the first thing when I posted this on the Geeks Handbag Facebook. That was the first comment I got, was that to me it'll always be Treebeard from the Lord of the Rings audience. Yeah,
he's very, very good. Yeah. So sad news. Stephen Thorne leaves us at 84.
Yeah.
We have no other news or merch. There's a couple of little merchy things knocking around, but to be honest, it's not really of any great value, I don't think, or any worth. We have a constant flow of little things that go out, like the little figurines from the magazine subscription thing, but other than that, there's just not really anything that's jumping out. Very, very quiet. Yeah.
Nothing new. There's nothing new coming out. I've had quite a good week merch wise myself, actually. So I got a couple of really nice bits. I got a couple. The 10th Doctor Volume 3 from Big Finish arrived the other day. You know, I got the limited book version. Did you get that?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't get that one. No,
I thought you did, because I thought you normally got those ones.
I normally do. Yeah, I haven't got that one though.
All right. Well, I got that. That's arrived. Because I've been working all the time, I haven't had a chance to listen to a single second of it yet. But it's really nice. I have to say the package is lovely. They've done like these storyboards inside the booklet, and there's some June Hudson designs as well inside. It's a really nice set, actually. So I am looking forward to hopefully finding some time to listen to it, because I'm really looking forward to hearing Bernard Cribbins back as Wilf, because I love Wilf. And also a friend of mine picked me up the Asda exclusive vinyl, you know, which was this Big Finish vinyl that was given to Asda, The Creeping Death. I think you described it as bogey green.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember the bogey green one? Yeah. Well, a friend of mine very kindly got that for me. And I'm pleased he did, because I was working and there isn't really an Asda near me. There was a couple I could have tried to have got to, which probably would have taken me about an hour to get to.
Right.
So I was thinking, do I risk it? Oh, I don't know. And then, a friend said, look, I can get you one if you want. So I was like, oh, yes, please. I think it was £15. So I said, oh, that's reasonable. But I'm glad he did, because within 40 minutes of it being on sale, there were about 10 to 15 on eBay going for absolutely ludicrous prices. I think the cheapest one I saw that morning was about 68 quid. And I was it really drives me crackers, these people that just go around, buy them all up so that no one can actually get their hands on them, and then just put them on eBay. It's I know it happens all the time, and it's not a lot we can do about it, but it's so frustrating to see. So thank you to my friend Will for getting me that, because I was really chuffed. And it is a very vivid green. I actually opened it and had a look at it, and it's nice. But Matt, it's it's Asda green, I suppose you could call it.
Yes, and not the bogey green that I had described it as.
No, it didn't say that on the cover, funny enough. It didn't describe it as bogey green. So I got that. And then the only other thing I got literally a couple of days ago was the Series 4 Steelbook with the Dr. Donna cover.
God, yeah. Yep.
And I'll tell you what, it really is nice, actually. It really is nice. It's one of those that when you get it in hand, it looked lovely, because it was a beautiful sunny day as well. And I went and bought it. I went and sat on a bench and was having my lunch, and I was just sort of was looking at it, gleaning in the sun. And I tell you, it's lovely. I've got to say, I'm really sorry to bash the artist, but Series 3 just looks so pale so much in comparison when you put the 4 steelbooks together, because Series 1 and 2 look gorgeous. You've got Series 3 in the middle, just looks dull as anything. And then you've got Series 4, which is beautiful. And it's a shame, because I really like Series 3, but it really is nice. Really, really nice steelbook.
Yes, yeah.
So I've had quite a good week, actually, with Doctor Who merch. Spent a blimmin' fortune.
Of course.
But it's been worth it, because I've got some really nice things. I've been quite good. I've been, like you said, a bit selective recently. I mean, they are 3 things I really, really wanted. You know, I could have bought a lot more, trust me. So 3 really nice things that I've picked up in the last couple of weeks. So
I think that's the story to our lives, essentially, is there's always more. that you can go and buy.
Oh, there's always more. I mean, I missed out on the Omega Harrop because they sold out mega quick.
They do.
I really wanted one of those, but again, I was like, I think it was 65 quid. And I was just thinking, well, I haven't got my first wage in from a new job yet. It should be good. I'll get him when I get paid. And I think he sold out literally within a day or two. There's always more. There's always more.
There is always more. And speaking of more, we should probably get on to our review.
We should.
Yes. So, you're back in the chair.
Yes.
What have we got this week, buddy?
So this week, Matt Smith, two-parter from his first season, Series 5, and it is called The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone.
She's here. You might want to find something to hang on to.
Follow that ship. Doctor, what do you know of the weeping angels? The time will be upon us. The time of angels.
Doctor! Just keep looking at it. Don't stop looking.
Doctor, what's it going to do to me?
There's one thing you never put in a trap if you're smart, if you value your continued existence, if you have any plans about seeing tomorrow, there's one thing you never, ever put in a trap.
And what would that be, sir?
Me.
What would that be, sir?
What a great cliffhanger that is.
I love the cliffhangers are essential in any multi-part story, aren't they? Let's be honest.
I'd forgotten about that cliffhanger as well. And it was like, that is so good. The tension really ramps up in those last few minutes. I remember as well when this first aired and they put that a banner come up at the bottom to advertise Graham Norton or something and completely ruin the mood. And I do remember that. It's really funny watching this again the other night because I was like, you almost wait for it to pop up at the bottom of the screen. There were thousands of complaints about that back then,
Loads. Oh, yeah.
Even from celebrities. I think like Charlie Brooker and I can't remember who else actually were like tweeting about it at the time. It was a big thing because it totally killed the mood of that absolutely superb speech that the Doctor's given. Yeah, just coming up next on BBC One. It's like, what are you doing, BBC?
The bloody BBC. It doesn't surprise you, does it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Over 5,000 complaints that got. I'm just reading it online now. It's on Wiki. Yeah. It was a bit of a buzzkill, that thing. Anyway, it's not on the DVD, so you can enjoy it as it should be.
Indeed, yes. So The Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, they were first broadcast back in April and the 1st of May 2010. They were written by The Mothball and they were directed by Adam Smith and stars Matt Smith and Karen Gillan plus a relatively small supporting cast. The Gumph is roughly River Song has contacted the Doctor because she needs his help because they need to track down a weeping angel that has escaped from a spaceship and has made its way back to the very unsettling maze of the dead. And so they have to go and retrieve said angel because I think they want to use it for some kind of military purpose. I think that's their reasoning for capturing it. And they find out that that singular angel is not the case. There's lots and lots of other angels, and Amy gets a little bit roughed up. She gets in harm's way a wee bit, but yes. So our two-parter then from Mr. Matt Smith. What do you reckon to this one?
So I really enjoyed this one. Actually, I thought it was a good two-parter. There's so much about it that I'd forgotten because it's been so long since I watched it. It was I really enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a fun watch. I don't think it quite hit the heights that it could have done. Like when it finished, I thought it was good, but I didn't think it quite reached its potential. I felt, I don't know, it did feel slightly underwhelming when it actually finished. And I particularly didn't like the very last scene with Amy. I thought that was just so misplaced and that kind of took the edge off for me, to be honest. I really didn't like the end scene when she was trying to seduce the Doctor. It was just very uncomfortable. But that aside, take that off. and everything else. Yeah, I thought this was a decent two-parter, and I didn't remember thinking it was anything amazing at the time, because I know I was quite excited about the Weeping Angels coming back and stuff like that. And obviously you've got River in there as well, so there's quite a lot in there. I think I was a bit underwhelmed when I first watched this back in 2010. So yeah, but rewatching it again the other night, I watched it back to back, both episodes. I found it a really enjoyable watch on the most part. I thought it was good because there's some really good creepy moments in it, and I thought the Weeping Angels are used quite well in it as well. Because that was the thing. They are a great creation, the Weeping Angels, but in a way they're quite limited in what you can do with them, I think. You know, because of the nature of the fact, you know, they only move when you're sort of not staring at them and stuff. So I think it was a good, I think they were used quite well in this creepy setting in this one. So yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me, both parts.
Gets a thumbs up.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs up too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think this is a great little two-parter, really. And although it's not, I think you're right, absolutely. Yeah, with the Weeping Angels, you've got limited scope on what you can do with them because they have a finite threat, don't they? It's and I think they did expand on that a little bit with because they invented this thing that if anything has the image of an angel, it becomes an angel. So they expanded it a little bit, didn't they? Where they had the monitor on a loop, and then that becomes an angel because it's an image of it. So they did expand it a little bit, but other than that, there's not a great deal you can do because otherwise you start to mess with the core thing that made them so scary in the first place. So I think it's great that it was almost like they lured them into a trap, didn't they? So this Maze of the Dead, where you've got all of these statues from the people that inhabited this area, you know, long time ago. So the twist is very cool that they're all angels, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's not just one of them. So that was good as well. So that coupled with the inherent scariness of the Weeping Angels is because they are truly fearful monsters from modern Doctor Who.
Oh, they're a fantastic creation. Yeah, they really are a great monster, I think.
Yeah. So when you have that along with Matt Smith's brilliant performance, and we'll come on to River Song in a little while, but
okay, sweetie.
And also the clever concept outside of the Weeping Angels as well for the story was really cool. So the museum at the beginning that the Doctor finds
that was nice. Yeah.
What was it? The cube thing that's got the message River Song burned in it.
You know, I liked that beginning. I thought it was a really great pre-title sequence of her being chased and the Doctor trying to find that cube. It's a really good start, actually.
Yeah, it's a flight record, wasn't it, from the Byzantium?
That's it.
12,000 years before, and then he finds it, and then he catches her and so on. So it's got some great little moments in it as well, and some and the suspense and the fear factor ramps up as well in episode 2, Flesh and Stone, where Amy can't open her eyes, and she has to make her way through the maze to the ship with her eyes closed, and so it's just got it's got some great elements in there that make it a really good watch, actually. And it's been ages since I've watched it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, same. I haven't watched it for a long time. It was a real I was going to say a real treat, but I said that about last week's story, but it really did. I really thought, I'm glad I went back to this one. It does feel like a Stephen Moffat script, but it's before he got sort of, I think before he tried to overcomplicate stuff, because there are good twists in this, and there's some great ideas in his script. And he does flip things on its head a couple of times in it, but it never goes quite into the realm of Moffat madness, if you like some of his stories. It kind of, it's just enough, I thought it was a good script from him. I love the fact he mixes things up a bit in it, like you said about the bit on the screen, the angel being caught in Amy's eye. I thought was a fantastically creepy idea. The fact that the angel's reflection is in a retina in that scene, and her hand turning to stone, and the bit where she rubs her eye and dust comes out. It's really good creepy stuff, and you got to hand it to the Mothball when he's firing on all cylinders. I think he gets a lot of stuff right when he's just reins it in a bit.
The mothball. I love
he
it.
can he can produce some really great stuff, and I think this is a reminder of some of the great stuff that we you can bash Moffat for some of the stuff he did, but when he was good, and it's a very good two-parter. I think there's some really good stuff in it. The angels are used really well, I think, in this. They're very creepy. There's some good jump moments, some really good jump moments. The bit on the screen's great, I think, because I was thinking, what's going on? Like, what is that? How is it coming out of the screen? And it's explained quite well. It's plausible. So yeah, I think it all kind of comes together and works.
Yes, it does. And I like that they carried over some elements from the previous appearance. So in the episode Blink in the Tennant era, they used some real similar camera shots, some poses for the angels, and also those little music cues as well, like those little quick string. Like, you know when it's.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they carried over some of that, and because that's what made Blink so good from the point of view of the angel or the angels in it, and because you had those little jump scares, didn't you, and those little poses, and they've replicated them pretty much exactly as they were before. So you've got this really nice level of consistency that runs through, because sometimes they do change. They change the playing field a little bit, don't they? Especially with the Cybermen. We've seen lots of changes over the years of those things changing and evolving and being...
To me, it feels like a good follow-on from Blink. Because of a lot of what you just said, it does feel like a nice sort of second installment of the Weeping Angels, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah, because of that, it just flows very nicely from that, from our first time that we saw them, if you like. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the fact that there is, I think, one or two scenes where we do actually see the angels slightly moving, which we never saw in Blink. We never saw them actually. There's a bit where one of them twists its head, and we never before have actually seen them moving. We see them jump to another position, but we've never seen them actually physically turning their head or hands before. And I know a lot of fans don't like it. They feel it was, just feel we didn't need to see it. It was creepier when they just appeared and were in a... But I've got to say, I might be in the minority, but I really love that scene. Once I really love it, actually, that's exaggeration, but I like it. I like that there's just one scene, I think, where we see the angel slightly turn to look at Amy, because I think it's so creepy. And it kind of brings them a bit more to life, in my view. It just shows that actually when you're not looking, that's what they're doing. But I think we only see it once, which I think is just enough. It's just to let you know that this is what you normally don't see. It's like one shot. So I actually really like that they did that. But I know a lot of fans are not so keen on it. But I just wonder what you thought, whether you think it was some bit unnecessary or do you agree with me that it's quite cool just to have that one shot?
Yeah, I think they just about got away with it because they only did it in that one scene.
Yes, and you wouldn't want it more. I think that's the thing. It's just that one chance to just see what an angel's doing when you're not looking. Mm-hmm. It's just that one opportunity, because I think it's only one shot. I might be wrong, it might be two, but yeah, it's just enough just to say, look, when you're not looking, this is what it's doing, but we never see it again, and it should never be seen again. But I like the fact it's in there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's also... Because one of the things that makes that kind of thing, and it's not just unique to Doctor Who, but any kind of sci-fi or horror stuff really, that I think sometimes your imagination has to fill in the gap sometimes and make things either scarier or less scarier depending on how you look at it. So the fact that they threw that in there, I wouldn't say that it breaks the mystery. It's not strong enough that you don't see the angel sort of picking up their skirts and legging around and sitting down playing cards and stuff. So it doesn't shatter the mystique too much, because it's really, along with it just being in that one scene, it's also really subtle as well.
Yes.
So you just see one of them twist their head and the other one move around slightly and their arm moves and stuff. And I think I love it. I think it's one of those tiny little insights that it's almost like a little sweetener. Like in the future, if they ever do another Weeping Angel story, maybe they would provide a bit more backstory or some insight into that a little bit more and tease you a little bit more about what they do when you're not looking at them. So yeah, I know fans that don't like it at all, but I quite like it. I think it's cool that you got a little tiny snapshot. I think it is.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It just cuts you off, and then you're like, oh, okay, so that's all they're going to show us. So I agree with you. No, it's very cool.
And I am right in saying they are people in those Weeping Angels suits, aren't they? I don't know if it's some and some. Are some static props and some people? Because I know I've watched making ofs, ages ago, and I remember seeing someone getting made up as a Weeping Angel, and I'm thinking, so I think certainly for some of those angels there is a person inside there, and my word, they managed to stay still. Because the bit that really made me jump is when the angel grabs Bishop and it's suddenly got his arm around his neck, that scene, and the doctor's like, oh no.
Yeah.
That scene, so good. But I think that's got to be a person in a suit, and it's the makeup's incredible, like the actual costume. It just looks so good. But it's got to be a person in there, and I'm sure I've seen people getting made up as Weeping Angels in, like, when we used to get good old Confidential and all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if they're all people or if some of them are like a static prop and the others, one or two of them, are people that can move, and I'm not sure. But it works well. Whatever they're doing, it's really, you can't tell. It really does look good. The angels themselves really look good.
Yeah, they look. The makeup is bang on as well.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm just looking on Wiki to see if anyone's credited as an angel.
No, do you know what? I did read that somewhere.
I'm sure it's a person in a suit in at least one or two of them.
It is, yeah.
It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah, I've read it somewhere before. Maybe when we were doing Blink. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
But no, there's definitely a couple of scenes where there's an actress in the makeup.
Yeah, but isn't that cool when he grabs Bishop? Mm-hmm. That scene, and the Doctor's just. Well, it's one of those rare moments where the Doctor has to accept defeat, isn't it? He can't. There is no way to save that guy, and it's right in front of his face. It's it's brutal, but it's also a great. A great scene for the Doctor, because he just, we don't see the Doctor that helpless very often, but he has to let him go, sort of thing. Yeah, good stuff. Again, the more I think about the story, there are so many moments in it I really like that, and there's a lot of good creepy moments.
And it's also it doesn't feel, we've mentioned quite a few times before that when the Moff took over, because when RTD was running the show, there were some larger story arcs that were in place across some of it. So we had the Bad Wolf thing, and then we had the Doctor dying across series 4 and stuff, and the Ood, and all that kind of thing. There was like a running theme, like the 4 knocks and all that stuff. But we've mentioned a few times that when the Moff has tried to do that, it just felt really heavy, and it felt quite. So as you got sort of 2/3 of the way through a series, or even halfway through, especially series 7 or series 6 or 7, it just felt like not that you couldn't enjoy the individual episodes, but you were constantly thinking, right, when's the big arc stuff going to come in, and
when's it going to get a conclusion?
Yeah. Whereas this one, although it's kind of early days, this is what, the 4th or 5th episode into series 5. It's got that intrigue to it that was really cool for the early Matt Smith stuff. The big hole, the crack in the wall. That.
Yeah.
There's that concept that's appeared throughout series 5. In this one, it plays a relatively big part in the story, but it doesn't feel like, oh God, we have to sit through a bunch of this stuff that we're going to have to sit through in all the other episodes now until we find the conclusion. It actually feels like, I don't know, I think the Moff wrote these early ones really well, in that the mystique is good. The intrigue about what is this, and the Doctor's very shy about saying exactly what it is. He doesn't want to tell them at this stage, that because he kind of alludes to what it is. He sort of blanket statement, it's the end of the universe, or something like that, or but he doesn't go into any detail, even when he's pressed on it, because Amy's going on and on. That's the crack in my wall from home and all that stuff. And but it's a bit like that scene we mentioned with the Weeping Angels, and you see them moving, you want to investigate that a bit more, and you want to dig into it. And like I said, the early stuff, these sort of halfway or 2/3 through series 5, I don't actually mind the Moff bringing those wider arcs in, because especially in this story, that it does add quite a bit to the flow of the story, and it's a good mechanism for it. And it also doesn't collapse under its own importance, though.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Series 5 definitely feels more plotted. In terms of, it seems more structured, definitely. And the more we watch Series 5, I tell you, the more I really do like it. And you're quite right, the arc is there, and it does play a big part in this. And amazingly, I'd forgotten, that the crack reappears in this. I was like, oh my god, yeah, it's quite a big thing in this one. But it doesn't really matter if you haven't seen the other episodes, because we get a little flashback of the Doctor going along the wall, and it's just enough to let you know what's going on. So yeah, I think Series 5 is pretty well plotted. I think the Moff was quite good in this series, but I think Series 6, I think, is the one where he maybe got a little bit too ambitious, and I think it certainly lost me at the time. So I think, but in this one, it seems a bit more structured. It feels like he's got more of a plan of where he's going with it. And it's certainly a bit easier to follow, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it just feels more structured, Series 5 somehow. Like you said, even though we get episodes like this one where you've got big important arcs coming into it, it doesn't detract from just enjoying it as a two-parter. Whereas I think something like the astronaut one, the one on the beach where the Doctor's being shot, and
yes,
there's loads of stuff going on in that two-parter, and but I still find that quite a confusing story, if you know what I mean. So I think, he kind of had it. He was a bit more restraint, I think, in this. I think it seems like he had a good overall plan of what he wanted to do with Series 5, and he pretty much stuck to it. That's how it feels, anyway.
Yeah. No, you can tell for sure.
Yeah.
I want to throw a question to you, though.
Yeah, go on, sure.
While we're talking about the old angels.
Yeah.
The lonely assassins. In the episode Blink, the way that the Doctor defeats the angels is by having them group around the TARDIS, and then when he dematerializes, they're all looking at each other.
Yes.
So they're all sort of in a petrified state because they're all looking at each other. As we go through the maze of the dead, all of the random statues that are littered throughout the corridors and everything, they're all looking at each other in some respect. So they're all grouped together, and some of them are looking at each other, some of them aren't. So would that not then suggest that the ones that are looking at each other can't actually move because they're that was the whole point of the end of Blink, is to get them to look at each other so they couldn't move.
Right.
So in this one, though, there's quite a few times where they're all looking at each other.
That is a very good point. Something I hadn't even noticed, because that's the thing. That is such a good twist at the end of Blink, the way the Doctor defeats them. It's a great ending, because you're like, oh, that's really clever. That's brilliant. Yeah, that hadn't occurred to me in this, and I think you're absolutely right. I'm sure the Mothball's got an answer for you out there somewhere, because he's pretty good, as we both know, having seen him in interviews. He's pretty good at finding answers for things when put on the spot. So I'm sure he's got an answer for it, but I don't have one. That's a really good point, actually.
That would have been another bottle of wine hoid at the wall when someone quizzed him on his script.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about it at all, but it's true. There's loads of bits where they're grouped together and stuff. So yes, I don't know. If maybe one of our listeners can come up with an answer to that one, because I don't know.
There may be a theory in there somewhere, but not sure.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the things I did love about this, and I bet you're the same. Angel Bob.
Loved
Angel Bob. What a great, again, another just brilliant bit of script writing from Stephen Moffat. Angel Bob.
Yeah,
it was superb. A great idea, and really creepy when it's for the first few minutes you think Bob's still alive, like the Doctor, and then the Doctor's like, "But how are you talking to me?" And when you realise it's an angel using him to communicate, it's a great creepy concept, I thought, and it also adds a bit of humour. It's so good when you get something as clever as that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's funny because of the way the Doctor interacts with Angel Bob, but it's also horrific what's happened to Angel Bob. So again, a really great piece of writing from the Moff there, I thought.
Yeah, it's actually quite haunting in a way.
It is, yeah,
because there's no the character Angel Bob. There's no fear in his voice. You know, in a lot of death scenes and a lot of just in general television and film, when someone's about to die or they're dying, there's always this element of fear and upset and all the rest of it. But the way that Angel Bob's talking to him, there's no change in his voice at all. Like when the doctor spoke to him before he went off, he sounds exactly the same. And it's like they do explain it. I think didn't they say that it's his memory or his consciousness has been saved within the system of the comms or something like that?
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact details, but because of that, his voice is exactly the same. And when you get that little reveal, like, again, I don't know the exact wording, but I'm dead, Doctor, or something like that. It's like, hold on a minute, holy crap, Bob's dead. Angel Bob, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like it's like almost like no emotion or in his voice. It's just telling you quite sort of matter of fact, isn't it? Everything he says.
Yeah.
And you see that's the good thing as well, because very often in stories, and this happens sort of more later on in as we get into series 8 and 9 and 10. It's very often we get characters that we didn't really care about. Like when they get killed, you're like, well, we didn't really get to know them, and it doesn't affect you. You kind of feel for Angel Bob, even though we only get to meet him briefly. And the reason, and again, it's back to the writing, the reason we care about him is because there's that one little scene where he's getting a right old rollicking and the doctor goes over and comforts him and basically puts old, what's he called? The Sergeant Major? Bishop. Sort of puts Bishop in his place, doesn't he? Because Bishop's having a go at Bob. Mm-hmm. And I think we've probably all been there at some point where someone's, putting us in our place. But the doctor goes in and says, don't worry about being scared, Bob. Scared's good. It keeps you running or something, doesn't it? So you immediately warm to Bob because A, he's been told off and it's something that's happened to all of us. So you sort of empathize with him. And B, the doctor kind of gives him that little boost he needed after that telling off. So just in that tiny little scene, we've got to like Bob, you see, and we care about him, which is why when he does get killed, it has an impact. Whereas I feel quite often in other stories, and this is in television as a whole and films, we get introduced to characters, but we don't really get to know them. So when they do die, it doesn't really have any impact, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because, we get characters thrown at us left, right, and centre. It's like, well, who's that sort of thing. So it's good. Again, it's just a great little piece of writing that we get to like Bob, but then he's killed off pretty quick. Mm-hmm. But he remains in the story. So, you empathise with him all the way through, really.
Absolutely.
Even though he's kind of turned evil for part 2, but he's not really evil, it works really, really well, I think.
Yeah, it does. And it's, I just love those. And the way that the Doctor handles that as well, it's kind of antithesis to how... So Angel Bob is like, there's no emotion, there's no change in his voice. And the Doctor's exactly the same. Mm. So when the Doctor's communicating back with him, when he finds out when Bob says they've killed me as well, snap my neck or something like that, the Doctor's tone doesn't change either. So he still carries on talking to him in exactly the same way as before.
Yes.
So it's all a bit haunting, really. It's quite... Because you can tell in the other clerics, I think they're called... They look quite concerned because they're looking around and they're obviously, crapping their pants about what's going on. But the Doctor he's quite even throughout that bit. He's got that remain calm sort of Britishness about him throughout most of the story. It's only towards the end, really, that he flips out a little bit, doesn't he, when he's shouting at River.
Oh, he shouts at River.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he lets it finally... All those little digs that they've given him over the episode finally explode at the end, don't they?
Yeah, so you can tell... Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, you can tell that he's worried for Amy a few times.
Yes.
So you can tell he's got there's concern in some of the scenes where he's trying to talk Amy through what to do when she's trapped in that room at the beginning, and then when she has to go through the forest and stuff. But other than that, he's fairly like bang on, sort of calm. The Doctor throughout. You mentioned before we started recording that you were amazed that this is Matt Smith's first recorded story as the Doctor.
I'm astonished this was the first story he recorded as the Doctor, because it feels to me like he's absolutely firing on all cylinders. It seems like it doesn't... There is no point in this two-parter where I was thinking, you can see Matt hasn't quite found his Doctor yet, or Matt's not quite in character there yet. To me, he was fantastic in this episode. I'm genuinely shocked to find out that this was the first one he recorded. He must have got that script. You can tell he clearly loves it because he's just so into the story, and he's totally the lead man in it. He is such a good lead in this story. The humor he deals with brilliantly, like all the little bits at the start with River, like when she's teasing him about the TARDIS landing and he's like, but it hasn't made the noise, and all the bits that are funny made me laugh. All the bits where he's serious, like when he shouts at River, "I'm doing it!" You know, his acting is fantastic in it. Yeah. He is just such a good lead in the story. I just don't know how he hit the floor running like that. I just, you know, normally, you know, even the best doctors just need to find their doctor. So to think that he just went straight into this two-parter and gives a performance like that, I honestly find it incredible, because I genuinely, and I didn't know this until this morning when I read it on the thing, I genuinely thought he was fantastic in this story. I just love Matt's Doctor so much. I really do love him as the Doctor. I think he's brilliant, but particularly good in this story. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you as well, while I remember, because I know I'll forget. Did you notice the scene when, so Amy's can't open her eyes, she's in the forest, and then there's a bit where the Doctor goes off, but then he comes back to comfort her, saying, "You've got to learn to trust me," or something. But it's after he's lost his jacket. So the angel has got his jacket in its hand, because but when he comes back to see Amy, he's wearing it. And then later he's not wearing it. So at the time, I think we all thought it was a continuity error. But it wasn't, because I think it turns out, and someone will have to help me out here because I haven't watched Series 5 or whatever it is for quite some time, but it was all part of the Moff's grand idea. I hope I'm right in saying this, because I genuinely can't remember, but I'm 99.9% sure it's not a continuity error. It's the Doctor from the future coming back to comfort her or something. But I just wondered if you noticed that scene where he's lost his jacket, but then he comes back to see Amy and he's wearing it. But then in the next scene, he's not wearing it, because obviously he hasn't got his jacket anymore, because the Weeping Angel's holding it. So I don't know. I can't remember what the thing is behind it, but I just thought, I love stuff like that, because at the time you'll just be watching it thinking, oh, they've messed up there. Look, he's wearing his jacket again. But it wasn't. It's all part of the Moff's great big grand scheme of things. So I love the fact that that's a detail that we've got in there. I really hope I'm right saying that, and it's not just a bad continuity error, because I can't remember what that Doctor's meant to be or where he's from. But anyway, I just wondered if you spotted the jacket, because it is for want of a better phrase, blink and you'll miss it moment.
Hold on. So the Doctor gets captured briefly by the angels, and they're holding him by his jacket. Yeah,
and he wriggles out of his jacket, and the angel's left holding his jacket. So he's just in his shirt and braces for the rest of the episode. But there is one tiny little scene when he goes back to comfort Amy. He's saying something like, "You've got to learn to trust me," but he's wearing his jacket. And I think at the time everyone was like, thought it's a continuity error, but it's not. It does. I'm sure, I can't remember the story. It does come into play. It comes into play later on, probably at the end of Series 5 or something. Probably something to do with the Pandorica. I can't remember. But I'm just saying, I love that moment, and I wondered if you spotted it, because honestly, it's a blink and you'll miss it moment. So if you didn't, then I wouldn't be surprised, because I only know because I remember looking out for it at the time.
I think I know what you mean.
Next time you watch it, look out for it. And hopefully by the next time you watch it, I'll be able to give you the answer to why it's there. I'm sure someone listening will fill us in. Somebody out there will know.
I think I know what you mean. So what you're saying is the Doctor, in that particular time period, loses his jacket to the angels and goes off and carries on the story. But then when we next see him and Amy together, he's got his jacket back on. But it's not that Doctor from that time stream. He's from the future.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. He sort of wanders off, and then he pops back as if he's just sort of remembered something. He pops back and just adds a few words of comfort, and then he's gone again. But it's I'm sure it's the Doctor from a different time or something. It comes into play later. But I'm sure I'm right in saying that, and I just like the fact that, again, comes back to the Moffat plotting Series 5 well, because I'm sure it's supposed to be there. Somebody will know. Don't worry. Somebody listening will comment. They'll let us know. One of our listeners will be on the ball. Don't worry. We will find answers.
Do you know what? This has got my mind ticking over now because.
Oh no! I thought you might know.
I know of it. Oh, it's The Big Bang.
Is it
the episode The Big Bang? Yes. So at the end of that story, The Big Bang, the Doctor starts to go back in time to see Amy at various points across her own time stream.
There you go.
That's one of the. Yes, I knew it was something to do. Yeah, do you know what? That hadn't even crossed my mind when I rewatched this.
Yeah,
it didn't even enter my. I didn't even notice that he was wearing the jacket again. I completely glossed over.
Yeah. Well, next time you watch it, look out for it, because I don't know why. I knew roughly where that scene was, and so I specifically looked out for it, because I think if I wasn't looking for it, you'd never notice it in a million years, because it's quite a close-up shot as well. It's not like you see a full shot of him in the jacket. It's a close-up, so you can only really see the shoulder pads, if you know what I mean, which is why it's not that obvious. But I love the fact that they went into that much effort to put that detail in. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you're almost correct, mate, with the Pandora correct. But yes, the episode after that. Yeah.
Right, there you go. Cool. Yeah.
Yes,
Good. Glad I'm not going bonkers.
No, you're not. Yeah, because when you first said it just then, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And then when you said about the Doctor going back or from the future to go and I was like, yeah, that definitely rings.
I bet you there's a massive section of the listeners screaming, "Big Bang! It's the Big Bang!" But I haven't watched Series 5
me either.
for some time. And actually, because we've done a few episodes from it, recently-ish, I just want to go back and watch it from start to finish, actually, because I think it's going to be a really rewarding series, actually, Series 5. I've always liked it, but I seem to be getting a even bigger appreciation for it than I had before, I think, the more I rewatch it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think Series 5's a cracking series of Doctor Who, certainly. Yeah, so. Oh yeah, I'm glad we got to that, because
yeah.
Initially drive me mad. So yeah, in the Big Bang, he goes back, and I think he goes back in time another once or twice after that, and sees Amy when she's little in the back garden and stuff like that.
It. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. While we're talking about Amy, I just want to say as well, I was a bit worried when this story started. I was a bit worried that she seemed a bit of a loose part. I was a bit like, because River's in it, and River's quite a strong character, and I personally think there's some great chemistry between Matt's Doctor and River, because this is their first story together, isn't it? I think they haven't met before this, have they? They can't have a Series 5, no.
Yeah.
So it's the first time they're together, and I honestly think Matt Smith and Alex Kingston have really good chemistry. I love all the little jokes between them, and I don't even mind the flirty stuff, to be honest, because I don't think it goes overboard like it did with what?
Dude, the end of the episode though, when they're back in Amy's.
We'll get to that.
Oh, right.
Maybe not that bit, but I'm talking sort of about the banter.
The banter.
The banter. I like the bants. Mm-hmm. I think the bants between Eleven and River is really good, like the TARDIS not making the noise and all that sort of stuff. I think it's some good bants, not the flirty stuff. Yeah, let's be clear. So I did worry about Amy's character in the first sort of 10 minutes. I was thinking, gosh, she just seems like a lost. She's just following the Doctor around. I hope they're going to give Amy something to do, because, yeah, she just seems a bit like the third wheel in this. She just, for the first 10 minutes, is following the Doctor around, asking questions and getting a bit annoyed. And I want to see a planet. And I was thinking, oh, she's starting to annoy me. So I'm really pleased that as soon as the angel appeared on the screen, pretty much from that point on in the story, Amy becomes quite important to it. And I think all the stuff of having the angel trapped in her eye and all that is fantastic. I'm just so glad that it went down that direction, because I don't know about you, but I thought she felt like a spare wheel for the first 10 minutes. I was like, oh dear, Amy's not going to be very good in this story. And she turns out to be really good in this story, I thought.
Yes, no, I agree. She, to me, the opening and the ending for her are not great.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I mean, that last 5 minutes, it really does. Oh, God. It to the point that it makes me cross, and it almost reminds me of, what was that really? there was a story with Clara that did the same thing. I was like, oh, finally we get a good story with Clara, and then there was a dreadful tacked on ending with the kids. It reminds me of that. It's just like you were doing so well, and then you just in the last 5 minutes threw it out the window. But that ending.
Yeah, it's all over almost him. Yeah,
it is, and also it's the Moffat being I think just a little bit close to the knuckle as well, because there's a scene when the Doctor says something like, "Come on, I've got to get you in here and sort you out," or something. She says, "Well, that's what I've been on about." And I'm like, "Oh, come on!" Like that's just the Moffat indulging in a bit too much of his own. You know, I genuinely was just that ending just made me cross, to be honest. I hated it. It just seems a bit OTT as well. It doesn't fit at all. You know, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
No, it's a bit uncomfortable to watch as well. Because
very uncomfortable.
It kind of hits you in the face as well, because she's not really been like it throughout the entire episode.
That's what I mean. It's like, where does it all come from? I mean, we know that she fancies the Doctor, but it puts Amy in a bad light as well, because you just said as well, she's so good in the majority, sort of the middle and second half of this story. You know, like when the soldiers are going into the light, she's like, "Where are you going?" and all that. She's brilliant in all those scenes. And then you kind of get this horrible tacked on ending where she's trying to seduce the Doctor, and it just makes her look awful as a character, because she's like, "Oh, I'm getting married in the morning, but I want to sleep with you," and it's like, "Oh, great, that's good, isn't it?" And it just really shows in a bad light after all the good stuff that just happened before. So yeah, I think if I was to watch it again, I'd probably switch off just before this, because it genuinely does, you know, mar what I think is a good two-parter.
Yeah,
takes the edge off.
No, it does. It kind of hits you in the face. It's like, oh, whoa.
And if you want even more cringe, you can watch this. You can watch like an extra scene after on the DVD. It's got the option to watch the story with an extra scene. I think it might have been for Children in Need or something, which follows directly on. Have you watched that?
No.
Don't watch it. It is awful. It's the Doctor and Amy in the TARDIS follows directly on from them going in, and she's just trying to. It's horrible. It's just horrible. It should have been cut, deleted, and burnt.
It's one of those subjects, isn't it, that it stems from the whole Rose and the Doctor thing, doesn't it? From way back to 2005, where people were either in two minds about whether there should be a romantic interest between the Doctor and a companion, or whether it should just be like, no, we don't go there. There's never a romantic link or connection in some way. But they've always explored it, haven't they? They've always dipped into it. But sometimes, if it's like uber subtle, then you can sort of roll your eyes and go past it, like, yeah, okay. But when it's like this direct and in your face, it can feel a little bit. I just feel it's really uncomfortable. I don't know what. I just don't see the need. I don't know. And like you said, some of the language is, it's not explicit, but it's like close to the knuckle. It's close to the insinuation of what, you know, she means and stuff. And yeah, I'll read you, man. But other than that, though, she's like the opening bit. She seems a bit bratty, but that's only for a few minutes. But then, like the middle part, she's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think, you know, we know that she likes the Doctor, and I'm all for her looking up to the Doctor and perhaps, you know, finding him attractive, because I suppose if you're traveling around and experiencing all these things together, you would expect some sort of bond, you know, and even an attraction. Fair enough. But I think in this scene, it just takes it to that next level, and it's going down the whole almost like Rose thing, isn't it? And yeah, it is very I just didn't find it very comfortable viewing, and it was a shame after enjoying it so much just to have that tacked on at the end. But yeah. Yes. Shall we rattle through? Actually, are any more scenes that you want to mention, or anything from the story that caught your eye? No, I don't think so. I'm just looking at my list, really. No, I don't think there's anything else. No, the only other thing I got written down was Amy's countdown. Yeah, I thought that was a good idea. That was a good creepy idea of her. Oh yeah, because she does it really, really well, doesn't she? She just keeps throwing in the random countdown, and I thought the way she did it, you know, it probably seems really simple, but to actually act it like she did, it's quite hard, because she's got to be speaking like I am now, and then go 4, and then talking a little bit more 3, Mm-hmm.
But it was creepy. It was done really, really well. And I was sort of thinking, what's going on? What is the countdown? And again, another great little idea from the Moff. He is good at coming up with concepts and ideas when he's not had too much of the vino.
Well, if you think about it, I suppose it kind of makes sense, because one of the things that we've always said about the Moff is that when he wasn't showrunner, he writes fantastic Doctor Who. And it kind of makes sense a little bit, because this is right at the beginning when he hasn't really worn his showrunner shoes in yet. This is like the very first batch of stuff, if you like.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. He's at that early part of his career as a showrunner and hasn't really bought into the idea that we need these huge arcs yet. He's kind of throwing these things in. So when he's not thinking too much about how do I link series 6 and 7 together with this bit of dialogue and that bit and all that stuff, he's actually focusing on the really cool little story elements that make them that make these episodes really good to watch, because there's the three things for me that are really good from the Moff's brain is the what you just mentioned, those creepy little moments like with Angel Bob on the communicator and Amy doing the countdown, and also the little bit in when she's rubbing her eye and like a bit of just those little creepy bits that he's put in there. The second thing is although there are elements in here from the wider universe of Doctor Who, you don't need to have watched it all to understand what's going on, really. So the River Song thing, and also the crack in the wall, like we said, you don't need to be an expert on modern Doctor Who to know exactly what that stuff's about.
It seems like, yeah, exactly. And it does seem like a pretty tight script in this. I'm thinking other creepy bits as well, when she's got her hand, Amy can't move because she's got a stone hand.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's like, but you haven't, Amy, and that all worked really, really well. Now I'm thinking in this one, to finally get her to let go and to sort of bring her back into reality, he bites her hand. But I reckon if the Moff was writing this now, the Doctor would probably lean in and kiss her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking back then with a bit more. Yeah, there's all the flirty stuff at the end, obviously, but I don't know. I could just imagine that if this was, perhaps a little bit further down the line, the Doctor would end up kissing her, and she'd suddenly wake up and, oh yeah, my hand is real, and I don't know. But in this one, the Doctor just bites her hand, doesn't he? And she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "See, now let's go." And it's much more fun.
Exactly.
Whereas if he'd have kissed her, it'd have been like, "Oh, groan, for goodness sake."
Yeah. That's good.
Again, that's what I like about Series 5. It's a bit of flirty, but it's not. Wow, until the end, it doesn't go to the next level.
Yeah, and that was going to be my final point, is that the simplicity in the story and the script is what makes it a good watch, because, like you said, if Moffat wrote this story towards the end of his era, then at that point there probably would have been a portal open and Rory would have stepped through.
Yeah.
And then he would have said something to the Doctor that would have been a cryptic clue about what was coming up in the next episode, and that would have, done something to Amy, and they would have carried her off the portal and then brought her back in 5 minutes later, and she's like, 2 years ago, Amy doesn't know what's going on, and then River turns up, another version of River, and then the crack in the wall swallows her, and then something else. Do you know what I mean?
And then a stone Dalek appears, and then a wooden Cyberman, and it's like, hey, it's all going on. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kept simple. Yeah, exactly.
It would have been a convoluted mess of stuff. So yeah, I like that the script is pretty sharp, actually. I think it's a good script. Simple story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's rattle through some characters then. So we had a little guest cameo right at the beginning from Mike Skinner, who was the lead guy in the old rap / indie sort of band, The Streets. Yeah. So he was in it briefly at the beginning. He's the security guard that River kisses with the hallucinogenic lipstick.
I couldn't think of his name. Yeah, I recognised it. I was like, oh, it's the guy from that band.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of his name. Yeah, The Streets, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was their big hit?
Dry your eyes, mate. Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Well, I can't think of the words.
I don't know. I wasn't.
My mate's better than your mate. I can't remember it, but yeah, that guy.
Yeah, little cameo.
Yeah.
I can't really say if he was good or bad. Really, he was very good at playing the stunned. I've just been fooled by Doctor song.
Yeah,
with the kissing thing, but.
Well, nice of him to turn up and make a little cameo.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
Obviously desperate to be in Doctor Who. I'm all for that.
Yeah. What did you think to the other soldiers in it then? So we had Marco, Bob and Angelo, the other cleric soldiers who were there to, keep watch and make sure the angels don't get them and stuff. So they, didn't really do that well, did they? Let's be honest.
No, they didn't do that well. No, I mean, it's a bit part actors. I think they were pretty decent. Obviously, I liked Bob. He's not in it very much, though. But yeah, no, I thought they were all right. Those guys. Yeah,
they weren't too bad. There was one guy that I recognise him from something. The black guy who played, I think it might have been.
Oh yes, I recognised him as well, but I don't know what his name is. I've seen him in something else as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wondered if this was quite an early role for him. I was thinking, he's gone on to do other things. Yeah.
But they were okay, though. They just got their asses kicked fairly quick, didn't they?
Pretty much. Yeah. Like the other guys in part 2, we get a couple more soldiers and they pretty much have the same fate. Or is it those same guys? I can't remember.
No, they've some other soldiers. So we have Pedro and Philip, I think.
Yeah. Where are you going? That was great, that bit. Yeah.
Okay, what about the top dude? What's his name? Octavian. Bishop Octavian. Yeah, played by Ian Glenn.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. Actually, I liked him. He was. It's funny because the relationship between him and the Doctor changes quite quick, doesn't it? I think at the start there's a bit of respect. Like I think the Doctor salutes him, which of course, again, for some reason, Doctor 12, remember all that stuff about hating salutes and hating the army and all that? So a very different approach to the Doctor's attitude in this one. So they start off with a bit of respect, and then I don't know if it's when Bishop has a go at Bob, but the Doctor seems to turn on him, doesn't he? So sort of about, about 20. So don't know, the Doctor seems to get a bit angry with Bishop halfway through this story. But I thought it was good, and then it's nice actually when we get that scene when poor old Bishop gets the angel round his throat, and then there is a lovely scene between him and the Doctor where the Doctor can't save him. So yeah, I thought he was good. What's the actor's name? Ian Glenn.
Ian Glenn. Yes.
Yeah, good little performance from him. I thought. Yeah, sometimes if you're cast as a sort of sergeant major, there's this habit of going over the top and being really shouty and all that sort of stuff. But he got a good balance, I think, and was quite likeable in the end when he sacrificed himself, sort of thing.
Yes, I agree. And Ian Glenn has been up and down for me, so I'm glad that he's good in this one.
Oh, right. What's he?
He's absolutely shockingly, terribly, very, very bad in the film Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Oh, dear.
He plays one of what's the secret society called?
I don't know.
The triangle.
Not into it.
I can't remember. But yeah, he's absolutely dreadful in that. But I'm glad that he's good in this because he's quite a pillar character, I suppose, in the story.
Yeah.
So no, he was good in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. He's done quite a bit of work, hasn't he? I'm just looking at his CV on Wiki. He's been in loads. Game of Thrones. Oh God, is there anyone that isn't in Game of Thrones? Yeah.
What are they? The Illuminati. There we go.
There we are.
Yeah. And he's done quite a bit of TV work as well, outside of Doctor Who. Quite a bit.
Yeah, he has.
Yes. He's Batman as well.
I'm Batman.
Plays a very, very small part as Bruce Wayne / Batman. There's a series on Netflix called Titans, which is a DC Comics thing.
Oh, right. Okay.
And he's in that very, very briefly. But yeah, I think he's most known for the Game of Thrones these days. But
well, probably.
Yeah. Okay, then what did you think okay, Alex Kingston then, River Song.
Well, I liked her in this, personally. I didn't think she was too bad, because there are times when River can get quite irritating.
Can she?
No, I thought she was all right in this. I did like all the stuff at the start where she's breaking out of the prison and she's so full of herself. But yeah, for the most part, I really enjoyed like her sort of chemistry with Matt. I thought it was a good little performance from her. It's funny because she does start to feel like a different character to me from the River we saw in Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. No, what's it called? Forest of the Dead, is it?
Yeah.
The library two-parter.
Yep.
Yeah, that performance she gives in that story with Tennant, I don't know, it always has felt like a slightly different version of River to what we've seen after, and I can never quite pinpoint why. And I think River does change a lot every time we see her, actually, in terms of what's going on with her. One minute she's in an academy, and then she's trying to kill the Doctor, and then she's doing it. So she's a very up and down character, but I don't know, she seems to play it a bit more serious in Science of the Library, if you know what I mean. Whereas this one, she's a bit jokey and taking the mickey out of the Doctor, and she loves sort of, having banter with Amy, which is all about the Doctor. So, but overall, I did like Alex Kingston in this. I did think she gave a good performance. I quite liked River in this one compared to some of them. Yeah. I get the feeling you didn't.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, you did? Oh.
I didn't mind her. I think as Matt Smith's era progressed, I think I became just a bit bored with her.
Oh, well, she did get boring. And I think if you think of Husband's a River Song, she's just firing out jokes left, right and centre, and her character is just so annoying in some stories. But I think at least in this, she was sort of doing stuff and being quite intelligent and throwing a few bants around. So, I thought it was one of her better ones.
Yeah, I think... we were saying earlier about the scene at the end with Amy and the Doctor, and she's all over him and stuff. Yeah. Sometimes you get that feeling from River and the Doctor in some later stories. I mean, obviously it's a different connection, the different characters. She's not a companion, is she? So it's, and they are man and wife at some point in their time stream. So, it's a different thing. But I think in this one, she is a bit flirty at times. There's a couple of little scenes where she's a bit flirty, but it's not distasteful. It's like it's more of a fun sort of flirtiness that's not going to offend anybody really. And I would say that if there was anything within this story because I said earlier that you don't have to have watched anything else in Doctor Who to get the story. I think if there was only one little tiny little nugget that may have confused, if somebody was coming to Doctor Who brand new and this was their first couple of stories, they may have been slightly confused about where River fits into the bigger picture.
Well, I'm still confused.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I still can't work out River's timeline. I really can't. I do know what you mean, though.
Yes.
I think you could be.
So I think her performance, I think Alex Kingston's performance was good. I think it wasn't OTT. And I don't think it's her fault necessarily as we go through the rest of Doctor Who, because I think she was just written to be the same way all the time. She was just written to be this flirty. She just shows up and you can't quite figure out her motives at first because she's acting on her instincts, on her relationship to the Doctor. So because they're coming at each other from different directions on their time streams, aren't they? It is confusing. It's something like the Doctor's in her past, but River's in the Doctor's future. And they're coming at each other from different directions or something.
I'm just picturing them off with his bottle of red wine. Yeah, now this is good stuff. This is. Yeah. He's got it all there on paper, and there's scribbles, and it's all there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of, maybe if you could see the Moff's mind maps, you could see how it all links together, and visually, if he had like a huge bunch of stuff over the dining room table and he's like, right, this is because of this, and maybe you'd get it.
When did he? Yeah, I was going to say, when did he plot all this? And do you think I'd love to know how much he had in his mind when he wrote this, for example, because they bring in the whole stuff about she's killed a good man, which we know goes on to what that goes on to be. So, but did he have it all in his head at the start? Because I don't think he did. I think he had a rough idea, and then by the time we get to blimmin' Husbands of River Song, when we finally sort of get some sort of rough conclusion to River, it is just like all the stuff that happens between this story and that is unbelievable, actually. I mean, surely he didn't have that all plotted out right from the start. It just couldn't be, could it? All her being Amy Aurora's child, and killing the Doctor, and it's just, I just don't know. I'd love to know how much. I wish the Moff would write a book. I know he says he's not going to, but I'd love to know how much he had it plotted out at this point, because he is throwing all the stuff, a few bits in there, isn't he? He's already thinking, she's killed a good man, and had he decided at that point it was going to be the Doctor or someone else?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it would be fascinating to see his early notes and his process for how he was going to link with River in, because she, like, you know, love her or hate her, she is integral to some of the big story points throughout Matt Smith's era. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So I would say that Alex Kingston, she is good in this one. She's not particularly annoying, but if there was any little tiny nugget of newer viewers to Doctor Who thinking, what the frick is this all about, that this would be it. The little bit with River Song and trying to succinctly get across how she fits into the Doctor's life and time stream. But other than that, can't really complain. She's pretty good.
I think she's pretty good, this one,
and then Karen Gillan, as Amy, we've already said, she's, for the most part, she's good in this one. She plays being scared and worried very well for the most part.
Yeah, she's great in sort of 90% of episode 2. Absolutely great. And it's not her, I gotta say, it's not really her fault. You know, it's nothing to do with her acting. It's just that last scene is so cringy and awful in its writing. But yeah, she does give a good performance in this. I really do like her in this one.
Yeah. Yes. And then Matt Smith, then, we've already said that quite incredibly, as his first, you know, the first yell of the word action for him as the Doctor in this story, it's great. It's just great to see him just rocking and rolling immediately. And it's almost like before he even stepped on set or put a costume on, he already had in his mind exactly who he wanted his version of the Doctor to be, because as soon as he's on there and they're rocking and rolling, he's away.
He's fantastic in it. He's a superb lead in this story. Absolutely brilliant. I honestly, I feel like if I'd have been there when they wrapped this story, and well, that's your first story in the can, Matt, I'd have gone up and just give him a bloody good pat on the back and say, "Blimmin' heck, mate, well done. You're going to do well in this part." Do you know what I mean? Because he's just superb in it. I mean, that speech at the end of episode 1, when he's like, "If there's one thing you never ever put in a can," it's like he is just he's there from the word go. That man is in the Doctor's shoes. I just can't put it any better than that. I thought he was fantastic in it. He's funny, action, serious, moving, everything.
He's got it all. Yeah.
I honestly just can't believe it was his first story film. I think he's, I just want to give him a pat on the back. Well done, Matt. That was awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, it's incredible that he's this much invested into his character, that he knows exactly how he's going to play each scene and that little speech and when he gets angry at River and all that stuff, he's just got it all going on. So,
but his acting is of such a good level as well. I'm not just saying it's not just he's giving good performance. His acting is just really good in it as well.
Yeah,
he's bang on the money basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really bang on the money.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's go on to scores. Unless there's anything else. Oh, there was one cool little thing that I loved, which I thought was really good. It's only a tiny little thing, and that is the little gravity bomb thing, football thing that he kicks up into the sky and lights up. One of those would be extremely handy in many situations. Mm-hmm. But I did love the effect and the visuals. You know, when it lights up and you see all of the maze and the corridors and stuff. It's not a groundbreaking CG, but it holds up fairly well.
I was going to say, actually, that was, I'm glad you said that, because that's one thing I was going to ask you, is how you felt visually it held up. Because I thought all the stuff on location looked beautiful with the TARDIS on the rock. Quite simple stuff, but I thought the direction was excellent in this. Who was the director? Adam Smith.
Adam Smith, yeah.
I thought direction was very good. I thought the episode looked really good. So it's 9 years old now, and some of the CG, maybe a little dated, but I thought, like you said, it held up. It holds its own, and the way it's shot and the forest stuff, great use of lighting, isn't there, in the forest? I mean, I assume that's a real forest, is it? Or is it a set?
So it looked like a real.
It looked like a real forest, and it was brilliantly lit. So really, I think it looked good, this episode as well. Yeah.
He's a good director, actually. He hasn't really done much out there, to be honest with you. The other one was the 11th Hour, which is another really good.
Oh, did he direct that?
Yeah, another good Doctor Who story. But he's only done those 3, and then he kind of stopped directing a couple of years ago, so he hasn't really done a great deal. But he's good, really good director.
Yeah, I must admit, when the name come up, I was like, oh, don't, sometimes the name comes up like Eurus Lynn or something like that. You think, oh, yeah, Eurus Lynn's back. But I didn't, when his name came up, I was like, Adam Smith? I didn't recognize the name, but I thought direction was really good. Yeah. And the CG of this crashed spaceship and that, I mean, it looked decent. It didn't look bad. And it could probably be done better now, but it was good enough, I think, for the time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Rightio then. You can go first, buddy, because I had to go first, obviously.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah.
Because you were sunbathing somewhere. So, right, Adam,
only.
you're up. What have you got?
So yeah, I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I pretty much rated both parts 8. I think it's a funny one for me because I sort of enjoyed the first part more, so I probably rated the first part 8, 7, and the second part 7.5, mainly because of the ending. It just kind of left me a little bit, that ending. But overall, I think it's a good one. So 8 out of 10 for this two-parter.
Nice one. I'm up there with you, buddy.
Cool.
Another time that we quite often match on our scores, but I rated episode 2 as a 8.5, episode 1 as a 7.
Oh, so you actually enjoyed the second part more. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say that averages out to, let's just say, an 8.
Yeah.
So a couple of 8s. Pretty good.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Indeedy. We had our lovely listeners throw in some reviews as always. We've got some audio clips in, which is great. So let's kick off with Sammy from Down Under.
Hey Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the time of Angel's Flesh and Stone. Well, there's some different ideas here. Angel Bob, the Sidewalk Trees, the Soldier Priest, etc. I like Father Octavian. River is good when she's not flirting with the Doctor. My biggest problem with the story, the whole thing could have solved itself without help from the Doctor. The ship would have blown up and the angels would have fallen through the crack in time. Murray Gold plays I Am the Doctor twice within the space of a few minutes at the end of Time of Angels, which is annoying. Why do the angels not just place the clerics, the Doctor or Father Octavian in time when they touch them? The scene at the end between Amy and the Doctor is all kinds of wrong. I give it 6 Soldier Priests out of 10. For the good ideas and the good characters. See ya.
A 6?
6 out of 10.
It's like, I'll tell you what happened with that theme. It's like when you hear a song on the radio and you love it, and you download it and you play it to death. And then about 4 months later, you're like, oh, I can't listen to that song again. But you've played it constantly. So that's what happened. They got that theme. This is brilliant. Put that theme in again. That is such a good thing. And then everyone got sick of it.
I know. It was my ringtone for ages as well. Yeah. I love it, though. I love that.
It is a great piece of music, but you need to have a rest. You can't have it in every 5 minutes in the episode.
You do.
Like the Doctor turns on a light. Dun, 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 dun. The Doctor picks up a pen. Dun, 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 dun. Doctor gets a cup of tea. Dun, 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 dun. You just can't have it.
You just can't. Thank you very much, Sammy. Some good points there. You rattled through that. She had obviously.
She was trying to keep it under the. I could tell. She was trying to keep it under the minute.
Yeah, very, very cool. Thank you, Sammy. This is Matt Steele.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Matt Steele here again. Hope you guys well and had a good week. So this week, Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone. Yeah, what a cracker this is from Series 5. The 10th Doctor's TARDIS was the actual TARDIS shown just before the title sequence, not the 11th. Alex Kingston gives a really good performance in this story, I thought. Murray's music is incredible throughout, really creepy. The angels are very terrifying in this story, which is a change from, having them pop up every 2 seconds in future episodes, Moffat. Is it just me, or did the door to the forest seem a little wobbly? The CGI of the angels moving in on Amy was really well done. The angels being sucked into the crack is reminiscent of Doomsday, with the Doctor and Rose having to hold on to not get sucked into the void. Matt Smith gives a really cracking performance yet again as a Doctor. Is there anything that man can't do? I don't like Amy throwing herself at the Doctor mind. I think that's unnecessary and pointless. And why does Matt's hair keep changing? Anyway, guys, have a good week. I give this an 8.5 out of 10, and I'll see you again.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Cheers, Matt. Yeah, I spotted that TARDIS was wrong at the start. It was the wrong shade of blue, and it didn't have the St. John. Yeah, it's probably because it's first episode of production. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, somebody forgot to build the new one for the start of the series recording. Where's that new TARDIS? Oh, God.
Oh, bung that one in. They won't notice. Of course, we notice everything.
We notice everything. What are you talking about? I imagine that conversation would have happened, joking aside.
Yeah.
Like, where's the new TARDIS? And all the carpenters and builders sort of look at one another. Like, I thought you were doing that bit. No. And then they said, well, we've got no choice. We have to use that one. The Moff just put his face in his hands like, they're all going to notice. They're all going to notice. We have to take one for the team. Thank you very much, Matt. Yes, and Matt's hair. Yeah, I think it goes, some scenes it's nicely combed into a side part and then it's all coiffed and looks nice, and other scenes it's all over the place. So I know what you mean. It's
yeah.
Yes, anyway, thank you very much. And lastly, this is Luke Malloy.
Hello, Gary and Adam of the Big Blue Box podcast. It's Luke Malloy, and thank God you've picked a belter for this week. I love Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. It's probably the best thriller in all of Doctor Who history. It just doesn't stop when it starts. The spaceship crashing, the angel rescue mission, the two-headed revelation, which has got to be one of the most cleverest cliffhangers in Doctor Who history. It's just bristling with ideas. It goes to a forest on a spaceship. It is brilliant. Matt Smith is awesome in it, considering it was his first episode in the role. He gets that brilliant line, the gravity of the situation. I love how the cracking time arc comes into place so early and is used to actually defeat the angels. It's just so clever. It's full of ideas. River Song's probably at best and most mysterious here. Heck, I even like the end scene. I think it's really funny. It is a bit weird, but it's really funny. For me, this is the thriller you need to watch. It's 10 out of 10. Thanks again.
10 out of 10.
I think Luke liked this one.
Crikey Moses.
He even likes the scene at the end. Oh, you and the Moff, Luke. You and the Moff.
Well, if you like it, Luke, you like it, mate. That's all good.
No, that's cool.
10 out of 10. Very cool. Thank you very much for the audio clips, guys. We had a few comments over on Twitter and Facebook. Very quickly, Electoral, yeah, I think it says, the return of the angels is pointless and unnecessary. River Song is an annoying character who keeps taking me out of the story with her flirtatious personality and unfunny attempts at humour, and the kiss at the end was forced and stupid. This story is dull and confusing, a 2 out of 10.
Oh, my word, Electra.
Jordan Shortman, one of our writers, says perhaps the last time the Weeping Angels were scary before they got overused. Considering it was the first story Matt Smith filmed, the main cast are excellent. There were some really tense scenes throughout. It's a shame it all got ruined by the kiss at the end.
Yeah.
Sebling, I surprisingly love this two-parter. It's fun, it keeps you engaged, and I don't mind River in this one. Gives it an 8.5. Jack the Hooveneer says Series 5 is my all-time favourite, and this two-parter is one of the reasons why I love it so much. Gives it a 9.5. Our buddies over at Prog to Who podcast.
Oh, what they got to say?
It says, I love Series 5, and in particular, I love this story. Probably the best of the season and maybe the best Matt Smith story. Ironically, it's the first story they filmed with him in the lead role. It was all downhill from here. A very strong 9 out of 10. Excellent Doctor.
That'll be Mark. Cheers, Mark.
And lastly, Sarah Louise, the running Whovian. Fabulous two-parter, Matt Smith at his best, a 9 out of 10.
Cheers, Louise. I think did you have a little injury, Louise, this week? Did I see on Twitter? I was flicking through, and if you did, hope you're better. If you didn't, hope you're good. I'm sure I saw something on Twitter about Louise. Anyway, I hope you're good, Louise.
Yeah, I hope you're good, Louise. And over on Facebook, we had a few there. Jeff Waddle says, my absolute favourite story of New Who. All the more amazing because this was one of the first they filmed. Matt Smith has never been better, just the right mix of thrills, scares and laughs. Although the Weeping Angels have a much different motive here than in the original appearance, they've never been better, and Ian Glenn is outstanding as the military clergyman. Outstanding, 10 out of 10.
Wowzers, Jeff.
Yes, Charlie Turner, a great two-parter. Nice to see the Weeping Angels again after Series 3. This is my favourite appearance of the Lonely Assassins, and I think that they work better with Matt Smith than David Tennant, despite Blink being one of my favourite episodes of Series 3. Goes on to give it an 8 out of 10. And lastly, Joseph Howarth. This honestly is a brilliant sequel to Blink. I feel like they've got the right mixture of comedy, horror and action in this one down to a tie. If this was the last time we ever saw the Weeping Angels in Moff's era, it would have been content with just this two-parter. I still can't stand River, though. They made her more of a caricature as the series went on. It goes on to give it a 9 out of 10.
Yes, caricature. I know exactly what you mean. I think that's what I was trying to get to earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of get that. Yeah, know what you mean. So some, I would say, mainly positive scores for this one. There was a couple of little 2s and 3s, but overall, well, we've actually got some 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, and Jeff's one of them, and we know how hard to please Jeff is.
Oh, Jeff, yeah.
So it must be good. I was just looking to see if we reviewed the Manhattan one, because I don't think we have.
We have not. No,
we have not. So
no, we haven't. I think. Are you thinking of The Angels Take Manhattan?
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah. That's the last Rory and Amy one, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't done that one yet.
We haven't done that. No. So,
yes.
That's for a future.
For a future, yes. So next week, buddy, what have we got then?
So next week we're back to Sarah Jane. Yay, Sarah Jane. And I can't find the title, but is it called Prisoners of the Judoon?
You can't find the title.
I'll tell you what's happened is I've clicked on the schedule to find out if we've reviewed the Manhattan story, and I've lost the 2019 schedule, so I can't see the title.
Prisoner of the Judoon.
Prisoner of the Judoon. There we go. Yeah, I had it there. I've had it there the entire time we've recorded in front of me, and I chose now to shut the screen.
The first episode of Series 3.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that should be good one. As you guys know, we absolutely love doing SJA these days, so it'll be good to get back to that. So we'll send the usual social posts out early next week asking for your thoughts and all that jazz. But yeah, back to Sarah Jane, dude. Should be good.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that, and it's quite fitting, isn't it, having a Judoon story with the recent news. So yeah,
it's all good.
Let's see how those guys fare against Sarah Jane.
Indeedy. And yeah, I think we'll do there, buddy, for 234.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for sticking with us through episode 234. Still very light, as you guys come to expect these days, in between no new Doctor Who on the TV, so we're light on news and merch, but the very sad news of Stephen Thorne passing away earlier at the age of 84. Very, very sad. But we did get onto some really good positive stuff with our review of the Time of the Angels and Flesh and Stone, the cracking 11th Doctor two-parter, so that's all good. Thank you very much for sending in your audio clips and reviews, always much appreciated. Love you guys giving your thoughts and reviews on that stuff, all good. Next week for 235 it will be Prisoner of the Judoon, the Sarah Jane Adventures story, so get your DVDs watch for that, because we'll be asking for your thoughts on that too. In the meantime, head over to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus, you can link off to all the various podcast networks, so you can give us a subscribe if you feel like you want to. If you subscribe, then you'll never miss a show as it lands in your list every Friday morning. There's also buttons there to go off to the various social networks. We're on there as well, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like and a follow there, because we chat some Doctor Who during the week there too. Remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, Geek's Handbag.
The old Geek's Handbag. Over on YouTube, go and
What's
give...
What's inside the old Geek's Handbag?
What's inside the old bag?
What's in there?
Go and give Adam a subscribe over there and check out all of his videos. Really, really cool stuff. Caters for all of your geek/nerd/ Doctor Who /review, unboxing, blah, blah, blah needs. Just so many cool videos over there. And Adam's also on all the usual social stuff, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. So go and give Adam a follow in there as well, and join the community and all the chat and all the rest of it that goes on each and every week. Indeedy. Until next week for 235, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, Allons-y!